with you. I hope this will turn into a weekly vlog. You don't know how many vlogs I've started and not completed, so fingers crossed. I've done a lot of stuff around my reading, around what it means to me. I'm working on booking in more delights for myself in my life to build presence and all sorts of things. There's a deep dark well of reasons why. But I used to make reading such a priority. I used to make this community a priority, and I just haven't done that. And that's okay. But right now I feel like I would like to do that again. So I looked at what's on in April. I made some plans for April reading, which feels really, really cool to do again. I haven't put together a TBR around things for a really long time. I'm going to join in with Read Indian Lit, or Lit with Indian Lit, and just read Indian fiction. I have the stack. I really, hang on. Ow. Sitting on a pen. I really, want to read Tomb of Sand. I bought this so long ago in Melbourne and haven't even cracked it. So that would be wonderful to dive into. There are a few different prompts. One was like a book I've been meaning to get to for a long time. I started this as a buddy read. It was so long ago and I can't even remember the amazing woman that I was buddy reading it with. And I loved it, and I just didn't finish it. And so it's been sitting there staring at me. So yeah, I decided that might fit that prompt. I also have Burning. And I have trashy Indian colonization romance stuff. I mean, you can't go wrong, really. Other thing I plan to play with in April is like Agatha in April. I think it's set up for people that don't know Agatha. I haven't experienced her writing before. I have, but not a lot of it. And so it's just something to connect in with and just read an Agatha book. So I thought that would be heaps of fun. And then I'm also doing prize lists. So I packed Pod by Laline Paul. I read The Bees and I loved it. And so I was really excited to see that book. That's on the Women's Prize, I think. And then I'm reading through the Stella Prize as well, what I can get my hands on. And I read that this morning. Yeah, I did. I read 86 pages this morning. And this is, Hydra by Adrienne Howe. So good. I'm just so involved in it. It's only a really short little book. But, it's about a woman who's she's not an auctioneer. What is she? An antiquarian. Life falls apart, loses their job, ends up in this cabin. But there's two different kind of storylines running. There's hers in this cabin, which was on an old military base. And then there's this timeline from the 80s where someone is investigating all of these strange things that are happening on this piece of land around this cabin on this military base. So she's just moved there, so I'm sure it'll all unfold. So yeah, I'm really, maybe this is the little jolt I needed to get back into the reading. But I devoured these 80 pages this morning. Loved it. It's Wednesday today. It's school holidays. I'm losing track of time. And yeah, we've done as much as we can for camping. We'll leave after lunch so we can do some more in the morning. And yeah, I'll take you along for a week with us and a week of me spending some time reading. I'm gonna sit out here and read my book. Boys are in the pool. But I've been here for 10 minutes and I've just been refereeing disputes over who's splashing who in the water. And it's really annoying. So, to make my reading a priority, I'm going to go away from them and find a quiet spot where I don't have to referee any disputes and I can sink into this book. Mess. Quiet spot found. So I just watched Sean. I'm catching up on his Friday reads. He just raved about this book, which I just picked up the other day. And this is what happens when I get back engaged with this amazing community. Is that every time somebody says, oh my God, this is an amazing book. And I just remembered another thing that I wanted to connect in with. Every time somebody says it's an amazing book and I have it, I'm like, oh gosh, I need to pick it up and I need to read it right now. Otherwise it will just sit there and I'll forget about it. Oh my God, it looks amazing. And lots of people had this on their best of lists last year, right? So I think that has to go in the basket. That has to go on the list for April. This is what's going to keep happening now. But I'm going to finish this book. I'm going to finish a book. I'm going to take the time and finish a book. But yeah, I'm totally going to pick this up in April. Thanks, Sean. My quiet reading spot has been invaded. Back to the green chair. I just made these kids these like nugget chicken things, super spicy. So now I'm having to cook a second dinner. No wonder I don't have time to read. In our van, we're at a horse show. It is Good Friday and we are in between watching Jenny and our other friends do their runs. It's a rainy, whoa, what's that? Anyway, it's a rainy day, still meant to be coming. Things are shaking. Anyway, I don't know how much reading I'll get done, but last night I did finish Hydra by Adrienne Howell. This is for the Stella Prize, I think. This is about a woman who, I don't know, she's an antiquarian, whatever, but it's kind of about her sinking into the abyss of, I guess, her trauma, her past trauma in her life, and kind of she did everything the way she should and then left it all behind through a series of really crazy events and ended up on a piece of land that had a mystery surrounding it. It was attached to a naval base, and what takes you through is this mystery of what is lurking. She buys this shack on this piece of land and it's engaging, I guess, because you kind of want to know what's there. And the writing's great, like it's a great story. I just think it was too short. I think there was a lot of, like, she just kind of spiraled into this crazy way of being and a way of burning things down, I guess. And it just kind of happened and you were expected to understand why it was happening. That's how I felt. So I would have valued more insight into what was pushing her and maybe some resolutions to the crazy events that took place that she was involved in, the decisions that she made, and then some resolutions around that. So I mean, it's worth the read, but for me it needed a bit more just a bit more understanding for the reader. The character just wasn't fleshed out enough. She just wasn't fleshed out enough for me. I didn't need everything resolved or tied in a bow, but it was just this kind of crazy event after crazy event after crazy event without really like her reflection on it, I guess. Yeah, so 3.5 stars. Maybe that's where we're going to go. I do have, which I'm really excited about, and I've just read the first few pages, I do have Pod, and I loved the bees so much. So this is about dolphins. What an amazing point of view. But I will try and read that another time. I can't get to that now. We have to head back over to the horse place to watch Danny do his run. So why don't you come with us? You can check it out too. If you've never been to an Australian stock horse challenge, I'm about to show you what part of it is all about. You're the first person I'm speaking to. It's Monday morning. We got home about 6:30 last night after watching the finals. It was such an amazing weekend. I'm not a horse person at all, and I felt really intimidated by those events before, but I was really solid in myself and not worried about not knowing what's going on. And Danny's the president of whatever, and so lots of people speak to me like I should know what's going on. And there's that old school mentality that when you're a wife, you support your husband, so you get involved and you volunteer as well and all of those sorts of things. Whereas my marriage is very different, that I do my thing and Danny does his thing and there's no expectation either side. So yeah, I get a lot of those feelings, that energy from other people of why aren't I involved? Not in an unkind, mean way. It's just, conditioning, right? But yeah, this time I was okay with that, and I really got into the competition and understanding how it worked, and yeah, loved it. Had a great time. Drank too much scotch one night, but that happens. And so we all got home last night and just showered, and there was so much dust, but it was beautiful. I all crashed out really early, and now I'm awake. I'm ready to settle back into life. I don't really want to. We have today off because of Easter, and yeah, we'll spend the day cleaning out the van and the gooseneck and all that sort of stuff. But everybody's still sleeping, so I'm going to take this moment to read because I hardly read anything. It was a really busy time. I was really worried that I only took 2 books and that I had nearly finished one. So, but all I've read is that. And this book is beautiful already. It's about a dolphin, and her struggles with not being able to fit in with, what is a pack of dolphins called? Is it a shoal, like a fish? I'll have to look that up. Do they call it a tribe? Anyway, we'll work that out. So I barely started. And yeah, it's beautiful. So you have to sink into it. And yeah, I needed space to do that. And I had kids coming in and out of the caravan. We had announcers. There was stuff on. So yeah, I'm going to spend some time today sinking into this book because yeah, the like I feel so comforted, enhanced. Just when I read it, I tingle. Like it's just such a unique point of view, obviously from a dolphin's point of view, but the research, the imagination, like everything that goes into writing like this is amazing. And I thought that when I read The Bees, and yeah, just how clever that was, and I'm feeling all of that again. So I'll sink into this today. I also made April plans, which you saw, but I forgot about Aussie April, which is super important because I'm Aussie. But we'll work that out in a minute. I'm just going to have my cup of tea. It will be a slow, plodding kind of day, hopefully with a lot of reading. Let's see how we go. Famous last words. Oh, I just spilled my tea. Oh no. Just spilled it out. It's on my pants. Oh, I just spilled my tea. Well, that woke me up. Oh, what happened to my book? Oh, it didn't get wet. Okay. That slow potting day hasn't really started off well, has it? Oh my god, okay. Let me sort this out. Now, while I wait for my chair to dry, while I was away, I saw people doing Eurovision-a-thon TBR. And I've never watched Eurovision. I think one of my babies would really love it. And it's something I've always wanted to do. So I was thinking to be playful and to join in. And you kind of read all of the books from or set in or by an author from each of the countries that enter Eurovision. And then the further they get into the competition, the points you get for the books that you've read for the countries, the books that you've read. I would love to read authors and translation works from those countries, but I'm a mum of 3 children. I have to send 2 of them to private school, and it's expensive, so I can't afford to buy a lot of books. So I rely a lot on secondhand books and like used bookstores and the library. And so while in the early hours of the morning when everyone was kind of sleeping and I wanted to play, I made some lists around it, did a couple of library reserves. It's a bit hard. So while I would love to have books by the authors from each country, I'm going to have to kind of work on books set in those countries and see what I can come up with. But yeah, I'm sure down the track when my children have left home, I'm going to buy all of the amazing books and retranslated works. But for now, let's see what I have on my shelves. And yeah, see, I've got a lot of white stuff here, so we'll see. There we go, got one. Just read one more chapter. Super interesting books like this where there's no sort of touchstones. Like I'm not a dolphin, not a whale. So I have to, at the start now, I'm really having to invest deeply in all of the information that's coming at me. And it's a lot to try and understand the hierarchies of the different tribes or pods of dolphins and the whales. So it's really intense, and I'm finding myself rereading a lot of things going, okay, how does this all fit in? So yeah, I think when you've got a book about humans, I guess maybe that's why I don't read fantasy. I've got to take in too much information. Am I a lazy reader? To ponder on that. Right now I am, because this is like a lot of information, and I'm wiped from our camping trip, so I'm going to find and start something else. I think I know what it's going to be. There's a really easy option here. It's the easiest option of all of the books I've got sitting there. Do I take it? Do I take the smutty romance? Do I do it? Or there's this. This is a Helen Garner book that's been staring at me for a long time. I love Helen Garner. She's an Australian author. If you haven't read her, please do. But this is about her time working on a book. Yeah, it's just kind of little moments in her diary that I feel like I'd just like to plod through this book this month. This is for the Savage reading prompts. It's a book set in a city that I love, and set in Melbourne, and I'm in Australia. The rest of the world is on the other side of the world, so I have not travelled as much as I would like to. So yeah, I think that I love a lot of cities, but I've never been there. So I thought I'd just pick this because I've been to Melbourne and I adore it. So yeah, this might be a better option. So let's sink into this in between the pod book and see how we go. I just realised that all of that talk about what is a pack of dolphins called, and the book is called Pod. Oh, was everyone just laughing their asses off at that? I would have been. It just proves how wiped I am after that camping trip. Okay, Helen Garner, bring me back to some sense of intelligence, please. When I walked out, Patty said, I want to rearrange my room. So we did that, and then had to rearrange another space, and amazing. And then I just sat down and read one more, I guess they're little essays maybe. And this was about suburbia and what suburbia is, and what the beauty she saw in it, and I was crying. Like the neighbours that you call auntie and uncle, because they show such kindness to you as a child, and how the ownership of streets and that community, and yeah, the big blocks of land with the lemon trees on them, and yeah, it was just this really nostalgic, beautiful way of talking about the suburbs after she had lived in the city all of her life. So yeah, made me think a lot about the community that we're building here, and because we don't have family where we live, so if we need help, we need to call. If we need help, we need to call on people that we have community with, and to do that, you invest time in their family, and they invest time in yours, and that kind of building of a base. And something for your kids as well, investing in relationships so your kids have people outside of you that feel safe to them, that they can go to. Yeah, it's very cool. Full of reflection around that. But I'm going to read another one because I'm trying to avoid having to mediate any Pokemon issues. So I'm going to hide in this beautiful sunlit space and read my book. Oh, next one, Demons Dunkley, was about her teacher in primary school. It was really mean, but gave her her love of writing. And she later found out was an alcoholic. Oh, these are killing me. Hi. Hi. I'm awake from my nap. Feels good. We're all just so low energy from our camping trip. So we're watching a movie and I'm going to continue to read. I've got my little spot here on my bed. The sun comes in there. It's really nice. The sun's on my books over there. I've got to put those fans away. We don't need them anymore. But look at the sun on my books. My messy bookshelves. I'm devouring this book. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's really inspiring me, or I don't know what the word is. I'm just feeling this real awe in creative work. The way that she writes about the observations she's making on real life is really it makes me want to do it, you know. And I don't know whether that's inspiring. I don't want to write anything, but just the way that you see the world is so unique for every person. Yeah, I feel like I need a journal for that, or I need something for that, because what I saw even on the weekend in a space that I'm not familiar with, I have my own take on, and expressing that in a way, I don't know, it's not a fully formed thought, but I'm loving it. I'm there. Up to part 5, I think I'm up to. Yeah, 127 pages in. It's only 227. Oh, there you go. I've got 100 left to go. But I'm starting to feel myself just plow through it, and I want to slow down and savor it. So I have got Pod back, and I'm going to, hurdle into this and see what comes up and see how I can grasp it now that I've had a nap. I think that might help. I don't want you to think that this is hard to read at all. It's just where I am in my day. I'm putting my reading plans on the wall. I'm ticking things off when I read them. I'm just having a bit of fun. And I used to, be so invested in the playfulness aspect of BookTube, and just really enjoyed the making of plans, the executing of readathons, the community around it all. I used to be so invested, in all of these things, and I went on this huge run of soul searching and got distracted by a lot of other things, and in that I found my purpose and my calling, but I let go of something that was really important to me. So I'm trying to bring a lot more playfulness in my life, and this is kind of a way back into that. So that's it. That's a little bit of fun, a little bit of decorating, a little bit of playfulness in my little reading room. Now I need to actually read these books. That was always a stumbling block before in all of these plans, but we'll see how we go in April. spent most of yesterday reading it, and then I just finished it off then. Helen Garner to me is one of the ultimate writers. The way that she uses words is something I'm in awe of. What I loved and what really inspired me or provoked in me about reading this book, I should tell you what it's about. It's just a collection of her thoughts, stories over the years, but what it's not a chronological thing. It's just this kind of dumping of ideas. They don't all connect. I guess it's like short stories, and I loved it. But what it provoked in me was this awe at the way that she observes seemingly mundane things as if they were momentous. So some things she writes about are, you know, big things like seeing the rehearsals for Swan Lake and all sorts of things. But other things she writes about are, you know, the first cup of coffee she has at the cafe where, you know, the old owners she loved had left and the new owners came in. Or my most favourite story was about what suburbia means to her, or what the beauty she saw in that after being an inner city person. The parts I do love the most are these little snippets from her diary, and it goes over kind of her thoughts on 1 year. But she writes down these snippets of things that happen in her day, and it could just be a comment that someone made or her grandchild made, or the garden she did, or whatever it is, but it's as if it was a turning point in her life. And the way I read it was like, it was so impactful. The way that she wrote these mundane things made me think about looking at things in my life in a different way, about that beauty that a writer has to observe something so small and bring it to life. And she there's a few chapters about writers that she admires in here, and one is Janet Malcolm, the journalist. There's a lot of others, but also her way people describe what clothes people are wearing, that really paints the picture, or what they're eating, the food on their plate. I guess that's what writers do, right? But it's really made me think about looking at my own life in that way. I certainly don't aspire to be a writer or anything like that, but the way that I can skip over things that have real beauty in them, that can bring me real pleasure if I just sat, observed, and maybe wrote about. The writings don't ever have to see the light of day. It could just be this idea that I have slowed down enough to really observe something. And that's really hitting me hard. So I don't know where that's going to land in my life or how that's going to bring in, but I thank Helen Garner for bringing me that moment of pause. So yeah, that's done, and I've ticked it off my little list on the wall, and yeah, just feel complete joy at having read this. I also was trying to get to sleep last night and I couldn't. Helen Garner was making me think. Pod was making me dive too deep. So I picked up The Course of Love, and I've started it. It put me to sleep. Not that it's bad. I'm 20 pages in. This is the book for Buzzwordathon. I think there's something about feelings in the title, but this guy's also a Swiss. Is he from Switzerland? Yes. And so that could go along with my Eurovisionathon desires. I guess this goes through the stages of love, people feeling love, people meeting, and what it is, and it's broken down into different parts, so which I found quite interesting around the stages of love. So there's romanticism, ever after, children, adultery, and beyond romanticism. And when I first read that in contents, I was so sad. I was so sad. And while I know that is a lot of people's experience. I feel sad that it has to be a lot of people's experience, but we're all taught to think about love in, it's just a little one poked his head around. We're all taught to think about love in the way that the movies portray it, and as young women we're taught about, you know, the man coming to save us and to build this life and to get married and have children. That's our purpose, rada. So yeah, this is obviously here to challenge that idea, and yeah, that interests me. So yeah, so I picked up that. I'm still plugging away with pod. I'm feeling a lot clearer today than yesterday. Yesterday we were just all wiped, but today we have things to do and I'm up for that. So I've got to go into work for a little bit. I've got to take my children, well, one of my children, to a movie date and an arcade date. I'm going to have a cup of coffee with a beautiful woman. Patty's going to do some shopping, got to do the groceries, and then we'll come home, and I guess I need to fluff around the house a bit, but then plan to get a good chunk of reading in, yeah, with these two books. So we'll see where the day takes us. I've been waiting for my teenager to wake up because he's a teenager now and he sleeps in apparently. So I read some more of this, and now that I'm not so tired and wiped as I was yesterday, this is beautiful to read. It definitely takes investment still, but it's a lot easier to understand and to flow through. I was finding it quite stilted. I was rereading passages yesterday, and it was all because of, yeah, my brain fog. At the moment it's all different kind of stories about two different pods of dolphins. There was a shark's whale story in there, and there's also another dolphin separate to both of those pods. So it'll be interesting to see how that all pulls together. So yeah, he just woke up, so we need to get ready and start our day. We're a little behind and not going to achieve what we originally set out to achieve, but let's just be fluid. Let's stay relaxed. Yeah, that's my eternal battle. Well, I'm back. I have an extra child. I have to take back in again soon. I've been wandering the shops and I still have more shopping to do with my teenager who wants to set up his room, and I'm just fucking exhausted. I hate shopping. I hate shopping malls, but teenagers love them, so that's it. I seem to be there every 5 minutes. It's horrendous. Anyway, Fitz went and saw the Mario movie with his mate. He's come home. They're now playing the video game, and I've got sort of a window of maybe 45 minutes before I have to take him back home and do the pickups with the teenager. I do not have the brain power for pod, so I'm going to do this one. I'm only still 30 pages in. As it's moving through, it kind of has the story of these two people, Kirsten and what's his name? Robbie. But then it has this kind of textbook explanation. I'll show you. Can you see that italics? So that starts off with, it tells us something about the relative status of rigorous analysis in the nuptial process, blah, 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 blah. So it kind of is, the story is being talked to by the theory behind love. And I see, this is the course of love. We're moving through an example of this process, but it's annoying me already and I'm only 30 pages in. I don't know why. I think it takes me out of the story. I'm not used to that, I guess. And I need to start looking at it as a tool of the author to take me through the theoretical process. That's the kind of, oh my god, they're so loud. That's the kind of that's the main point of this, is that this theory behind love, and these people are just executing an example, I guess. I'm finishing this vlog today because it's a week old. So I'm wondering whether I can finish this so that you can see whether my little rant was justified or not. Maybe it'll be a cliffhanger and you'll have to find out in the next vlog. And we all know how inconsistent that is. That would be super unfair. Let me try and finish this book. Well, look, that didn't work out as planned. I had to go back into town, had to take extra children home. We've had dinner, we've been watching Lego Masters. It's started again. If you're in Australia, you know, it's a Lego competition. It's very cool. It still is going, but I thought I'd duck in here and let you know that I hardly read another thing. I did read another chapter, and I think the book and I might be on the same page. Through that proposal chapter was a lot of cynicism around why the man proposed, so I enjoyed that. Yeah, so I think it'll be fine, but I am going to watch the end of Lego Masters and I'm going straight to bed and starting it all again tomorrow. But that's the end of this vlog. It's been a week. Let's close out. My intention is to do this weekly. I say that at the end of every vlog. So let's see if I do it this time. It's been so nice talking to you. It's been so nice playing with books again. It's been so nice investing in my reading. And I have you guys to thank for that. And I have a lot of gratitude for that. So thank you. Okay, I gotta go see who wins the first round of Lego Masters. And I'll catch up with you in the next vlog. Bye.